So, trying this at home now with a little bit better mic. Um, it's blocking my mouth, but whatever. So, here is Jerry and the Goddesses, Part 2. Mr. Williams, Professor Stein said, looking over the rim of his glasses at me in a threatening manner. Would you please expound upon the nature of this personal interview to which you cited all these statements about the Proto-Indo-European goddess of learning and written knowledge? I shifted my weight from one butt cheek to the other nervously. These chairs were very uncomfortable, and Professor Stein's request was even more so. I conducted an interview with a noted expert in the worship of Sarissa, I said. I tried to smile, but it came out all wrong, more of a grimace. Way to go, brain. Which noted expert? The professor asked. I felt sweat trickle down my chin as his two fellow professors looked up from my dissertation to fix me with their stares. Well, sir, I interviewed Sarissa herself. I swear I could hear his aged skull creaking. He rolled his eyes so hard at that. Mr. Williams, you know I appreciate a good bit of humor as much as anyone. That was a lie, by the way. He was about as serious as stage 4 cancer, with a side of AIDS. But the writing of your dissertation is a serious matter, requiring serious effort. It is to demonstrate that you have the knowledge necessary to be afforded a master's degree in history, not an opportunity to make bad jokes. Professor Stein, sir, I swear to you, I know it's hard to believe. I can barely believe it myself. But I burned this book and I said her name, and then she woke me up in the middle of the night and explained this to me. I trailed off. Yep, I sounded like an absolute lunatic. Okay, I know it sounds crazy when I put it that way, but I can prove it. I stood up and grabbed my book bag from the floor next to the entrance. I dug around in it for a spare copy of my dissertation and pulled it out triumphantly. Here we go. I just need to. I pulled out my lighter and lit one corner of it, then tossed it in the trash can. Sarissa, I called. I really need you to come visit me again. We waited. I watched the burning pages melt half the plastic trash can and fill the room with an acrid stench. Nothing happened. The smoke reached the fire system and set it off, and suddenly the room was being sprayed with water. Nothing else happened. I would have had an easier time of it if they had yelled at me or called me an idiot or something. Instead, all three of them just sat there staring daggers at me through the water dripping down their foreheads. After about 10 minutes that felt like 10,000 years, I sighed. I'll get my stuff, I said, and I turned to leave. Just then, the door burst open and Sarissa walked in. Sorry, she exclaimed breathlessly in her weird accent. I came as fast as I could. She leaned over, hands on her knees, and breathed heavily. Professor Milton was the first to speak, her voice betraying her outrage. Young lady, what in the hell do you think you're doing here naked? Sarissa looked up. I'm answering a prayer for my only worshipper, Clara. Maybe if you weren't so busy cheating on your husband with Mr. Tweed is still in fashion there, she pointed at Professor Rogers, you'd have had the presence of mind to put two and two together and figure that out. Professor Milton recoiled as if she'd been struck. Professor Rogers crossed his arms and looked guilty. Professor Stein blinked once, slowly. Do you seriously expect me to believe that you are an ancient Proto-Indo-European goddess of learning and written knowledge, young lady? Well, duh, Sarissa said brightly. I mean, how many black-eyed, anatomically incorrect women have you met? Just one, I bet. Me. Just now. She straightened up and flung a lock of wet hair over her shoulder with an imperious gesture. Now, this young man is very smart and very thorough. We talked for hours the first time, and he knew exactly which questions to ask. So I suggest you accept this dissertation and grant Jerry his degree. And if you don't want to, I could see to it that certain academic rivals of yours come across a copy of your PhD dissertation and the obscure 12th century historian, as if anyone back then was doing real history, whose work you translated and plagiarized. That did it. Stein looked shocked And when he spoke, his voice sounded uncertain. I'll certainly take that under advisement. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Please let us deliberate a bit. Sarissa took my hand with a smile. I take care of my worshippers, she said, leading me towards the door, then spoke again in a lower voice. And if I ever catch you making naked sacrifices to Inanna again, I swear upon all the gods out there, I'll make sure your mother finds out what you keep in that little box in the back of your closet. Oh, crap. The end.